Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the April 9, 2024 Basalt Town Council meeting. So we're pleased to see everyone. We will call the meeting to order and ask our town clerk to call the roll, please, Pam.
Absolutely. Let's begin with David Knight.
Here.
Elise Hoddle.
Present.
Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Bill Kane.
Yes.
Dieter Schindler.
Here.
And Miss Angela Anderson. Here. Thank you. A-team is present.
Okay. We have a consent agenda with 4 items. Minutes from March 12, minutes from March 26, approval of a special event permit for yoga in the park, and resolution number 22, series of 24, a resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, granting approval for a community garden on the Gray Shehigh open space parcel that is jointly owned by the town of Basalt and Pitkin County for the 2024 growing season. And Sarah's got that one if there are any questions, but if there are any questions, be pleased to pull any of these off and talk about it. But if not, I'd appreciate a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that the town council approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, all approved. Next order of business is a call to the public. So anyone that would like to address the town council on a matter that's not on the later on in this evening's agenda, please feel free to come up. You're limited to 3 minutes. We ask you to be civil, constructive, intelligent, good-looking. No, none of those things are required. So you can come on up, and then we can check to see if anyone wants to call in virtually. You can find instructions at www.basalt.net, agendas, and you'll see directions for calling in. So we don't have to do anything special with the phone tonight, Pam?
No, we do not.
Okay. So the floor is open for anyone who'd like to address council. Reed, looks like you might be ready to go.
I am.
Come on up.
Thank you for the opportunity, but based on the criteria, I don't believe I'm qualified.
That's right. Oh, yeah, we'll sit back down there.
You're here. You qualify.
Well, I'm here on behalf of the residents on Midland Spur in the 100 building and the 104 building about the lights. And we want to...
Could you speak into the mic a little bit? It's a little bit hard to hear. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. We want to acknowledge all of the work that the staff has done to mitigate the glare. And it's had some effect, and it has mitigated it, but it hasn't eliminated it. So I polled people in the building. You know, we heard from most of them, and those that I heard from are unanimous in their desire, well, their appreciation of the work, but also their desire to have those lights changed in front of our building to ones that conform with the street code, not the parking lot code for lights. And we would prefer that they match the pattern language on Midland Avenue, but mostly it's a difference in height. It seems like the only way to eliminate the glare in the residential units is to lower the lights to that standard that I think is 16 feet for lights that are in the town right away. And we hope that the effort to mitigate it, although it's much appreciated, isn't a substitute for changing it for what we think needs to be the final fix, because we live on a town street, Midland Spur, not in Midland parking lot. Thank you.
Thanks, Reed. So I know this dialogue is continuing with the staff, so we pass those notes on, and this will, like all issues in Basalt, will be an evolving. We'll talk about this for quite a long period of time, no doubt. So thank you for your comments, though.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else like to address council? Any topic not on the council agenda? Anybody calling in? No. So that concludes that. Our next order of business is mayor and council reports. So I'm going to jump right in here, kind of seize the gavel. Are you going to be here on the 23rd? Oh, okay. I was about ready to make a big speech, but
Oh,
I'm
no,
not going to because I thought you
no
weren't
need.
going to be here the 23rd. So,
You can save your
Okay.
speeches.
okay, I'm withdrawing I'm curbing my enthusiasm here. Anyone else comments?
Trying to get rid of me. See this?
No, he wants to give you the proper
I
Sunday.
had all these nice
Come on,
things to
hey,
say
come
at
on.
least. But we'll say them next time. Okay, watching the construction is pretty amazing. It looks like, there's a lot of disturbance, but it's also remarkable how much is happening in this off-season. The big pieces of the storm drainage system are in on this end, and I just took a lot of satisfaction seeing concrete forms for pouring curbsides and sidewalks. Holy mackerel, it's actually going to happen out there. So bravo to that. Nice talk with Shea Stutzman, and they're really into it. So I think it's, I look forward to a really good constructive summer season. Brian?
Not so much a comment, more I guess a question for staff. Are we gonna do the spring cutbacks, fire mitigation, just because of this last storm? I know especially in the Old Town neighborhood, there's a lot of piles already from people cleaning from the broken trees, but just wanted to
Yeah,
get people prepared.
we're going to do it a little differently this year.
Okay.
So I think we're going to try, much like we do in the fall with the fall leaf cleanup, that we would have some roll-offs available for people to come and bring their branches in.
Okay.
And it'll be available to everybody in the community. And Chris Spicer is heading that up, and he will put out some flyers here pretty soon for that. So we won't do the collect at the doorstep this year, because we get a lot of comments to expand that, which just, we don't have the capacity to do that. So we'll have those folks bring them down and to the dumpsters that we'll
Okay.
get out here. And I think that's a May timeframe for that. So about a month or so.
Okay, so some of these people with monster piles will just have to figure kind of their own thing.
Yeah, they'll need to get that to the
Okay.
landfill. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just
If
double-
it's on private property.
Yeah, there's plenty. There's
Yeah.
a lot of trees, so. And I have one hanging over my fence if anyone wants to see it before I cut it. So,
Okay.
cool, thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Anyone else? Commentary, opinions? Great. Okay, managers report.
Yeah, I just had a couple of quick things. So the first, I actually included a letter in your packet. And so this is a draft letter, if you'd be so interested in supporting it, for the Dolores River Canyon country. So there's an effort down over in the west part of the state to preserve a lot of the Red Rock canyons where the Dolores River cuts through. And it's an appeal to President Biden to establish a national monument known as the Dolores Canyons National Monument. That section of river down below McPhee Reservoir, if you've never been through that area, is pretty spectacular. It's been considered for wild and scenic. There are some interesting politics in that part of the state of, a lot of different people that use the water, irrigators, and as well as recreationists. And so this would just kind of help make sure there's more preservation and less impact.
Initiative?
It is, yeah. And so if you would like to sign on to it, it's obviously a little bit remote from our front door here in Basalt, but if there's interest, I could pass this along with your names attached to it.
Good by me. Do you want a little voice vote?
Yeah,
here?
yeah, people, or just a nod if you guys are supportive, yeah. Okay, that's great. And then just one other thing, we did get an inquiry this last week with regard to jake brake noise on Highway 82. And there are some signs just over in this part of the town from Basalt Avenue to the south that say no use of Jake brakes. Chief Knott was looking into whether that law continues down the valley. The complaint came from Original Road area. And so, I think a couple of things, we have, traffic out there that moves pretty swiftly, and those trucks, when they try to come to a stop, probably utilize those Jake brakes. So to the extent it's not allowed, then, there can be some enforcement there, but the reality is we can't catch everybody using a Jake brake or just position a police officer out on the highway looking for Jake brakes. So a little more education around that could perhaps go a long way, in some cooperation with CDOT in the
There's a
past.
state code in there about,
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where it applies, so Chief was taking a look at that, and so
yeah.
we can work with CDOT. They in the past have put up some of their messaging on the highway that it just reminds motorists of those rules. So we'll see what we can do. But the person that had asked about it wanted to bring it up to council's attention, so we said we would do that on his behalf. So.
What is a Jake brake?
Oh, a Jake brake. Big trucks use it to assist with their ability to slow down, and it's like the air. I think
They
the
just
air
use
brakes.
the engine, the resistance of the engine.
You've heard it. When you're in traffic and you hear,
It like pops. Yeah.
Now I'll hear
Yeah.
it.
So they're
you'll
using
hear it.
the-
You'll know what it is now. It's not
Yeah.
just the truck.
Should we do it again? Would you like to?
Yeah.
Something like that.
All right.
I'll be on the lookout.
That's pretty good.
It's like a high revving.
Yeah. But it's it's noisy. So.
Yeah, as somebody who lives next to the highway in the Roaring Fork Apartments,
Mhm.
it didn't even occur to me that was something that we could request. But we hear it all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Is it something to say not in the town limit, even though CDOT's not in our purview?
Yeah, and that's a lot of that isn't in our town limits.
It's on there.
Yeah, it's in the county. Yeah, there's like, some of it is, there's some funky lines out there. So, again, that would be a difficult enforcement issue versus perhaps an education issue. And it won't, you can do all the education enforcement you want. It won't eliminate it, but maybe
Can we
make
put
some
more
impact.
signs up?
Yeah.
Like just from
Even, like,
both sides of
times?
82?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is
Like
we
entering
have
Vail?
signs now and people don't follow them, so I think the sign clutter just, doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
help.
I mean, it's not during the day. It's not to me, I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But it does, the traffic starts at like 5:30, 6 a.m.
Yeah,
So that couple of morning hours.
That's
if
rude,
there
yeah.
was a way to communicate, that would be amazing.
yeah. Well, we'll take them, we'll look more into it and see what's possible there, and if more signage, it might be useful if there's signage here, then,
Well, because like
be
going
appropriate
into
to put
Vale,
signage.
it says it, like on both sides of Vale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they don't control that. So like, it must be a partnership with CDOT or
Yeah.
something on
I
I-70.
think that's right.
But they have the same thing, like coming around mid-turn and
Yeah,
coming
that's
down
right.
the hill.
Yeah,
So maybe something to ask CDOT about.
Yeah.
They just have some signs that we could use.
we'll do it. That was it.
Thank you, Ryan. So council actions, next up, item 6A is interview and appointments for BAC, Basalt Affordable Community Housing. And we have two, so Michelle's going to lead us through this, and we're going to talk to Elizabeth Stewart and Kaya Rumney. So,
Yeah, well, I'm going to stay in my seat since we have two members coming. And I'll just give you the quick overview. This is awesome. It finally can hear me.
yeah, got to get close to that mic.
Let's see here. So, Town Council's asked to consider appointment of one member to the Basalt Affordable Community Housing Commission. We currently have 6 voting members and 1 open seat, and that's per the bylaws that are adopted. We have 2 applicants that have submitted for the seat, Elizabeth Stewart and Kaya Rumney. We're recommending that you interview both, and then you have the hard task of making a decision. So first we'll start with Elizabeth Stewart, and I'll ask her to come up and sit at the table. And I'll give my usual short introduction. Elizabeth has grown up in the Valley and is a Basalt resident. Her professional experience includes business management and bookkeeping for various homeowners associations. As a longtime local, she has felt the pressures of the housing crisis and brings the rental perspective to Bach. And I'm sure she has much more to say about herself, but that's my quick spiel.
Great. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thanks for your interest in serving our town. So,
Thank you.
yeah, if you could just follow up on that, tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in Bach, and fill us in a little bit.
Okay, great. My name's Elizabeth Stewart. I have lived in the Valley since 1992. My parents moved us here in 1992, and we moved to the town of Basalt. My dad built a house on Village Court right there on the corner, which is unfortunately a house that is occupied about 2 weeks out of the year these days. But he built one of the first log homes on Village Court in, the early 90s, which is wild to think about. He served on the town council in the mid-90s when we were just in the process of annexing Willits and in the infancy of discussions about the employee housing program. So we lived here in Basalt, and I had my whole childhood here, and then we moved to Aspen in the year 2000. At that time, my parents had 4 teenagers, and my mother was teaching at the Aspen Elementary School, and she decided she did not want to drive us up Valley anymore on a 2-lane highway. So they made the decision to sell the house there, and they purchased an affordable housing unit in Aspen Highlands, which they live in to this day. I have a degree in marketing from Leeds School of Business at CU Boulder, and I lived abroad before moving back to Aspen in 2014, where I have lived in employee housing since then. I lost my housing in Aspen in 2022 after my unit was sold. My father was actually the property manager for a bulk of units at Aspen Highlands. All of the dorm units and all of the individual units were owned by one trust, and the gentleman who owned that trust was getting quite old and wanted to sell them, so they were sold to the owner of the ale house, Kevin Joseph, and my lease was terminated, and my unit was sold to the girl that lived next to me, whose parents had a lot of money, bought the unit, and the unit continues to be under affordable housing, but she basically just pays her parents' rent.
Wow.
So it was a very frustrating situation, and I lived with my parents for a few months, and then I moved down here. And looking back on it, I was incredibly frustrated. I was so scared. I didn't know if I'd be able to find housing. I couldn't find anything in Aspen, and eventually I moved into a free market unit here in Willits, which is the Lumen Apartments. And actually, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me because my life just completely changed, and I'm incredibly grateful to be back down Valley, and I love it here. I love it, love it, love it, because Aspen has changed so dramatically over the years that I've lived in the Valley. I enjoy living here in Basalt. I love to support the local businesses. You know, I get my nails done at a privately owned business. I get my back massage at a privately owned business. Everything is just local. I can walk everywhere. It's fantastic. My work is just across from the roundabout where I live, and it's just great. I really get that more of a small town feel down here than I get in Aspen. That being said, I've had an interest in employee housing for quite a long time. As I mentioned, my father was a property manager for employee housing units for a very, very long time. And so I learned a lot through him about the employee housing process in addition to my own experience in the employee housing process. And I did run for the APSHA board in 2019, and that was, I don't know if any of you are familiar with what happened in 2019, but it was a little bit of a bait and switch situation where they had interviewed a bunch of people and then put the exact same people back on the board. So I did not get that position, but I'm actually very grateful because APSHA is definitely not a starter board, and that would have been my first board experience. Fast forward to today, I work full-time for a small, well, it's one owner who owns 3 businesses. It's Premier Property Management, Premier Landworks, and Premier Buildworks. We obviously do property management in the Valley. We do excavating and and landscaping through Premier Landworks, and we're general contractors through Premier Buildworks. I work full-time for that company. I'm the bookkeeper and the business manager. In addition, I also work for Burlingame Branch Phase 1 as their bookkeeper and their secretary, which means in addition to doing the books, I attend all of the meetings, I take the minutes, and I kind of go above and beyond in my work with Burlingame Branch Phase 1 because it's a very unique HOA in the valley in that it has quite a bit of reserves, and managing those reserves was done very, very poorly until I came on, and I worked really hard to basically get the best bang for our buck with our reserve money. So that is something else I do. And then recently I've also taken on a part-time role as a bookkeeper for another startup property management company.
Excellent. That's a very good summary.
And I will just give you a little idea of my past. Up until June of 2021, I was working for the Aspen Institute in the Aspen Meadows, and I worked there for 6 years.
Oh, great. That's a really good background. So any questions for Elizabeth? Anybody?
That was comprehensive.
Yeah,
That was
I
a
think I
very-
blocked out a
very
little
good,
bit when I was
very
saying
good.
all that.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much. And
Yeah.
so we will be going through a little process here, apparently, and we'll let you know where we come out.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Hey, thank you.
Great. Thanks, and then I'll introduce Kaya Rumney to come up as our other applicant. And I'll give.
Hi, Kaya.
Hi,
How's it going?
good, how are you?
Just fine. So thank you so much for, volunteering for
You're gonna let Michelle give
Oh,
I
it.
mean,
sorry.
it's all I get to say the whole meeting, so,
Okay.
And it's my second to last
We thought we
meeting,
knew
so
her
I wanna
pretty
hear
well.
Michelle.
Kaya Rumney is a Basalt resident who has professional experience at both Aspen Valley and Valley View hospitals. She currently runs her business. Of course, my screen just turned off. Here we are. She currently runs her business, KLR Baby. She brings firsthand knowledge of the challenges Basalt families are experiencing. She's committed to community housing issues with perspectives from critical community services, including healthcare and educators. Kaya is interested in both building new housing and working on programs to preserve existing housing.
Thank you. So now, you want to just fill in, give us a little more kind of color on that intro and let us know
Sure.
why you're interested in Bach and,
Yeah,
so, great.
well, I guess for like the last 30 years, I've always served on various boards. Specifically, like in Chicago, I've served on a board of a foundation, giving money to a variety of topics. And then I should also add that I worked at the Family Visitor Program. So the first few years I lived here, I went into people's homes all up and down the valley. And then when I moved here, I was really lucky to buy a home. So I've been here since 2017 and bought a home from someone who used to be an educator. So I think we got really lucky that we got a good price on our house. And just based on my experience being a homeowner in Basalt and having friends and neighbors who are renters and owners and people that have been owners for 60 years or owners for 2 years, I feel like I've just kind of seen the difficult aspect of housing in the valley, but then also seen the difficulties of housing in Basalt for the businesses, the people that live here, and the people that have been here a long time. So I'm really passionate on making sure we have affordable housing in Basalt that will keep our town running and be for the, everyone from like the kids that are coming back that want to move back to their hometown to the people that are coming here to serve this community.
Great. Questions for Kaya? Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent, and we'll be letting you know, I guess.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kaya. So,
They need to appoint one today.
It's on the agenda to appoint somebody today. If you're not prepared to do that, you could do that at the next meeting. But there's one opening, is that correct?
It's a tricky challenge we're set in here.
This is the first time ever,
Yeah.
last 6 years. I want to tell you guys, this is insane because we used to never be able to fill a board. And once again, compliments to Michelle. I spread this every time you bring new board members. You have spearheaded filling the boards, and we are now at capacity, which is wild.
Is there any timing we should consider with Bach's upcoming agenda that might necessitate taking care of this today?
Can we?
We
another
do
seat?
have a Bach meeting this Thursday, and we'll be asking Bach to vote on the proposals for the Stotts Mill lots. And then upcoming in the near future, there is a little gap in between time for voting on the rugby lot adjacent housing proposals.
Adjacent.
Parcel 5.
But we'd just be kicking the can down the road, right?
I think so. I would, it's a really tricky situation to be in because you have two very qualified candidates. But ultimately, we're going to have to make a decision at some point. And the bylaws are what they are. So,
That would be my next question, if there's any flexibility in the bylaws for like an alternate or something of that sort.
I just looked and the bylaws do not provide for an alternate. Okay. And I don't recall the history of that. I believe there's alternates for planning commission,
mhm.
Not our other,
but not,
Boards, though.
yeah, not our other boards.
yeah.
So, tricky.
Who likes eeny, meeny, miny, moe?
Can we just write a name on a slip of paper and pass it over, or do we have to have like a whole sort of discussion? So what's the process we
The
go
the
through?
process is somebody should make a motion to
Okay.
appoint someone. You guys get elected to make the tough decisions. and
Okay.
This might be
So-
the toughest.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'll start by saying you both should be on it, but we can't do both. So I'm going to make a motion to nominate Kaya for the Bach.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion.
I was gonna nominate Elizabeth.
Okay, so there you go. So we'll see if this motion passes.
Yeah, I guess that's
And-
what we do.
Okay.
And that's nothing against Kaya,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, discussion on the motion. There's absolutely nothing against either one
Yeah.
of you. I'd love to have you both.
Yeah, the discussion on the
something for the
motion for me is I appreciate your background as a bookkeeper and with Burlingame, because I think one of the things that we're gonna have to, I'm not even gonna say they're gonna have to tackle soon is, we've got the Park Modern Affordable Housing coming online, which is half for sale and half for rent, and how to do the homeowners for that. When you were talking about it, that particular skill set stuck in my mind.
Okay. So there's been a motion, a second. Do we do this by roll call or by voice
You can
vote?
do it by voice vote.
Okay, so moved and seconded.
Should we do a roll call? Can I ask you a roll call?
Geez, new mayor, come on.
I mean, just just in case, so it's not like which side's louder.
Yell, we all yell, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, Pam, let's do a roll call.
Alrighty, let us begin with Ryan Slack.
Oh, man. Unfair? Now, if I abstain, I can make it really weird. And then we'll have a 3-3 tie.
Listen, can I give you guys one little piece? The terms of the other Bach members are constantly rolling. So whoever doesn't get appointed tonight, there'll be, there's just always seats that are, because we have these kind of rolling appointments. So hopefully whoever doesn't get appointed will come back for the next open
Please
seat.
do.
Yeah.
Whoever.
Okay, so I'm gonna say yes, but I thank you and your skill set is needed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're like,
Okay, Bill Kane,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
David Knight,
Yes.
Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And, you know,
Elizabeth,
just,
please come back.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Elizabeth, don't-
well,
Keep in touch with Michelle when the next opening is.
you know, thank you. And Kaya, we're going to appreciate having you on Bach. We're sorry we missed you on council, but, you know, you're, be good to have you on Bach. So look forward to hearing your advice and hard work. So thanks.
Great.
All right. Well, that was weird, but
Oh, hands up. Like, that has never happened in 6 years. Probably, I would say above 6 years, because I don't think anything was full before I got here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
These are wild
kudos to
times.
Michelle for giving us a whole,
Well, I can't take full
and our citizens.
success here. I think what's happening in town has gotten a lot of people really excited and interested, but thank you.
okay. Next item up. Thank you for that. So our next item is, next item is a public hearing and first reading on ordinance number 6, series of 2024. Ordinance of the Town Council, Town of Basalt, Colorado, amending Chapter 18, Building Regulations of the Municipal Code of the Town of Basalt regarding sustainable building regs. Michelle and Mitch.
Right.
Mitch, good evening.
All right, so I'll give you the quick rundown on here. As you know, in 2022, Town Council approved some amendments bringing our sustainable building regulations up to date in ordinance number 16 of 2022. We came back last year in February 2023 and updated those amendments a little bit more, just having lived with the document and been through some more building codes and applications. And since then, we have found, Mitch has found places to make the document more user-friendly, more concise, and a little more clear. There are not really substantive changes in here. It's really syntax, formatting, and clarity of the items. So that's the quick overview. And this is Mitch Miller, our chief building official, who is fabulous.
Great evening, Mitch. So, questions? Do you want to present anything? You think we
Shell
got it?
pretty much took care of it. It's for the benefit of the contractors, basically.
Great.
I just have one quick question. Has there been any pushback on some of our, the new green building and then bringing in the new updated ISO? Because we did that last year too, didn't we? It's like, is there any problems in the community on that, or is it just?
I think this helps solve it.
Okay.
The contractors are looking for direction. So the original wording in here was a little confusing. So I just reformatted stuff so that they can read it more like a code book and what they're used to the reading, how they go down the list and understand certain items on there. So this will help them, it'll help clarify a lot for them. There's still a lot of interpretation in here, and I tried to clear some of that up. But, you know, basically, the contractors, if they know the direction they're going, they're happy to participate.
Good nose.
But it's more the direction that there was some variability in there that
All around the
allowed
fence,
them.
and you'll get in the door or something like that.
Yeah,
They know
okay.
how to do that.
Have we had any experience with the on-site renewable requirement for single family in the last code updates? Have we had any applicants that have gone through that?
We do. It's continuing to be a learning curve for every building permit that comes in.
Okay, cool. All right. Questions, comments? This is a public hearing, so I'll ask anybody in the audience that would like to comment on ordinance number 6. Please come up, address council. Anyone calling in? Doesn't appear that we have any callers. So hearing no public comment, council may address questions to Michelle or Mitch, and hearing none, we could entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt ordinance number 6, series of 2024 on first reading and set the public hearing and second reading for April 23rd, 2024.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Righty. Let's begin with Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
David Knight,
Yes.
Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Elise Hoddle,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
and Bill Kane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty, thank you. So item 6C, public hearing.
Thank you,
and
Mayor.
second reading, ordinance number 4, series of 24. Ordinance of the Town of Basalt, Colorado, approving amendments to Municipal Code Section 8-4, Schedule 2, Vehicles and Traffic, Special Hazards, and to Section 1622, Schedule of Uses and Requirements, to add road classification for setback determination purposes, and to make minor amendment to on-street parking requirements. Is that description actually longer than the ordinance itself?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, as the mayor indicated, this is a public hearing and a second reading of that ordinance with the title that the mayor read, and it's the Town Code Sections 8-4 and 16-22. As background, as was noted at first reading, most of the zone districts in the town code base their front yard setbacks on the type of street that they abut. And the options for street classifications in the zone districts are arterial, collector, and local. And staff has traditionally just determined the type of street on a case-by-case basis when we've had a permit application in. But staff has received several requests recently to determine what type of street properties are on. And also staff has had this on our code amendment list for quite a while to actually put the streets in the street classifications in the street table. And so we've gotten around to that. It's pretty simple. In Basalt, most of the streets are local, with the exception of Midland, Two Rivers Road, Basalt Avenue, Southside Drive, and then Willets Lane and East Valley Road. So council approved this ordinance on first reading, and staff has not made any adjustments since first reading. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the code amendments and made a recommendation of approval. So this evening, staff would recommend taking public comments because it is a public hearing, providing council discussion, and if you're comfortable, you could approve the ordinance on second reading.
Are there dimensional criteria that are part of that chart that are at the end, that relative to road width and shoulder and all that?
They're not as part of this table specifically. Okay. This table only addresses the speed limit and the parking restrictions. There are width requirements that are in the appendix to the town code.
So what's a local street? Is that 20 feet or 22 or 24?
It ranges between 20 and 22.
Okay. That sounds nice. That's a good dimension. Small local streets. Okay. This is a public hearing, so we will open the floor for anybody in the audience that would like to address council on this ordinance number 4. See if anyone's calling in to comment on it. Doesn't appear to be. No. So, no public comment. Questions staff have of James? If not, entertain a motion. Brian?
Mayor, I move the town council adopt ordinance number 4, series of 2024 on second reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Pam?
Okay, absolutely. Let's begin with Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Elise Hoddle,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
Bill Kane,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
David Knight.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to, I see Rico just moved in the room here, so I assume this is your Old Pond Park. I'm just guessing, wild guess here. The DHM. So this item is a resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving an agreement for professional services with DHM Design for the development of an Old Pond Park system improvements. So
Indeed it is. Yeah, so
Catherine, tell us what's up here.
hi, Mayor and Council people. Tonight, we're presenting you that contract for a study of the Old Pond Park water system improvements. The town maintains a regional stormwater quality facility within Basalt River Park, and although that facility serves as a critical piece of our stormwater infrastructure, it also provides irrigation water supply for the town and supports recreation and educational opportunities for our younger generations, like this cute kid pictured here. Well, I'm biased, though. Both the town and Roaring Fork Conservancy have identified the deficiencies in the system and the flow, with the flows that, of the stormwater that run through that area. The forebay, with all of the new flow that's coming from Midland and passing through the forebay, we feel like now is the right time to study that area and really understand that all of its different elements are working, as it should in a holistic fashion. Tonight I have Rick LaFaro with the Roaring Fork Conservancy here with me. Rick is committed to supporting the project both with his knowledge and know-how of the pond and its systems, and also he's committed monetarily to supporting the allocated budget for this project, so it's great to have him as a partner. And I'll let Rick speak a little bit to the importance of this project and the pond's function itself.
Great, well, thanks for having me here. I realized as I walked in, it's been probably years since I've been in this room, and I spent a lot of long hours here, so it's nice to see you all. I know most people, but I don't know everyone in the room. So again, I'm Rick LaFaro, or I go by Rico. Thanks for addressing me as such, Mayor. I'm the Executive Director of Roaring Fork Conservancy, and I am probably not the smartest person in the room, but I might be the most passionate, especially when it comes to fishing and resources and the next generation. So in 2018, we completed construction and moved into our River Center just a few days before the Lake Christine fire, so it was an interesting summer for all of us, as you remember. But since that time, we have embraced Old Pond as a wonderful resource. Of course, we're not the owners of the pond, but we try to be very good stewards of it. And since that time, we have moved all of our fly fishing camps, particularly youth fly fishing camps that we do in the first couple of weeks of June, to Old Pond. I think many of you are familiar, but annually, right before the end of the school year, we have the entire fourth grade from Basalt walk down and do a full river day. So we have several stations that the students participate in, learning about the river and whatnot. But one of those stations is also fishing on Old Pond. So I can't tell you all what a great amenity that is, especially for me and the kids that are like me, and to live here in Trout Town, and the only town in America with 2 gold medal trout streams running through it, to have a wonderful amenity like a kids fishing pond is, I can't express how great that is. And so I really appreciate being part of this team. I appreciate the effort that the town is willing to put forth to improve the conditions in that pond. We have forged a great relationship with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, so we're able to put in stocking requests. They stock the pond for free because it's open to the public and managed as a kids fishing pond, and what we call a put and take fishery. So it's okay if somebody, particularly a kid, wants to catch a fish, take it home and eat it for dinner, and that's an important part of kids growing up here, just like skiing or anything else that they're immersed in. And if kids can't learn to fish in Basalt, where else are they going to learn to fish? So it's a wonderful amenity. It's got some challenges right now with some of the water quality and some of the algal and plant growth. And so moving toward managing that and improving that system to where it is fishable. Now, of course, there's no guarantee, right? It's called fishing, not catching. But at least if we can get a fishable condition year-round, or at least during sort of what we would consider the fishing season, is great. So I think we're heading in the right direction. Since we've been in the River Center, we've noticed an incredible number of families coming out and using the pond, and it's just mom and apple pie when you see 3 generations out there, and maybe grandpa or grandma is helping somebody catch their first fish and whatnot. So I think particularly with kind of the downturn of Lake Christine as well too, even more important, because that's the place where we all send people to go fishing with kids, or if you want to be able to legally keep a fish and take it home. So,
Nice.
any questions?
So do we have considerable dredging? I mean, are we gonna, we got a lot of vegetation to get out of that pond?
Well, I'll let, so we have Jeremy Allison with DHM here, and we're recommending to you, that you award the contract to these guys, and Jeremy can speak to his experience over there and in general with this stuff and how his team will look at it.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Allison. I am a Senior Environmental Planner and Natural Resource Programs Manager with DHM.
Could you
Design.
pull that mic closer to you there so we can, like, to make sure we hear you?
There you go. Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
I'm a Senior Environmental Planner and Natural Resource Programs Manager for DHM Design. And we're a landscape architecture and ecological planning firm who's been involved in the Basalt campus, community campus project and Old Pond project for quite some time. Our team includes Matrix Design Group and Redfish Environmental. And DHM and Matrix have quite a bit of history in kind of the Old Pond Basalt Community Campus project as a whole. And we're looking forward to completing a comprehensive analysis to figure out what's going on and how we can, potentially improve not only just the water quality, but the overall biological function of the system as a whole. And like Rick said, we realize it's a valuable amenity for the town and for the, families and people to use that. And we're just looking forward to being involved with the project. But back to your question, from our preliminary, we actually looked at this project a little bit last summer, and we've been, we did quite a bit of the monitoring on the wetland systems associated with the previous development work that's gone on over there, and I think that there's a significant amount of sedimentation and algae and plant material that exists in the pond currently, and so one of the potential things that we'll look at is dredging as a potential solution for cleaning that up, and then, looking at, potentially aeration systems and bringing in, what water we do have coming in, how we can clean that up and, add more water or circulation to the system. So we'll be assessing all of that in this first phase and putting together a comprehensive analysis of opportunities and constraints and conceptual designs that go with those improvements and our recommendations. So we're looking forward to working with Rick in the Roaring Fork Conservancy and the town and on the project. So,
Mr. Mayor, can I add one thing to that? One of the constraints that we do have on any dredging that occurs over there is the water right that we have associated with that. So it's not you can just dig it as deep as you want. There is an actual defined capacity for that body of water. So we will have to adhere to that.
Yeah, we can't arbitrarily deepen it or expand
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah,
And
change
we-
the storage.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah. Do we have any suspicion or reason to believe that we have some source of nutrients that are leaching into that?
Absolutely.
That's feeding
And
that
it's part,
algal growth?
and it's part of the beauty of that park, it's waterfowl.
Yeah.
So, I counted 5 different species of waterfowl on the pond today, and we have a lot of bird watchers that come. And of course, that's part of the allure as well. So I'm speaking about, one thing that I'm extremely passionate about is the fishability of the pond, but it's also great because of the aerators and whatnot, that it stays ice-free enough throughout the whole season that we have incredible waterfowl, and that's something that, of course, we want to continue to encourage. But quite honestly, duck and goose feces is a wonderful source of nutrients that all of the stuff that we're trying to eliminate thrives on in the pond. So it's a balance, and like Ryan said, we can't just go in and necessarily make it deeper. So it's fine tuning some water quality and doing it in a natural enough way that we can sustain and support a fishery, support a great public park and an amenity, and still have the waterfowl. And it's not just simply the waterfowl, but that's more to the question of the nutrients. But from our conference room, I've seen bald eagles successfully make a catch in the pond, ospreys, herons, right from the conference room. I mean, it's incredible. So to be able to view that resource, not literally round the clock, but throughout the day, it's amazing. We see muskrats, we see minks
Yeah.
occasionally, there are deer, all of that stuff. So it's maybe a more vibrant and thriving park than most people realize, in the pond especially. It just needs a little love and some fine tuning to make it function a little bit better and a little bit more naturally, and also to kind of support some of the recreation that's going on out there.
Yeah, and I might just add as a final note, this plan will be just a phase one, where they'll be identifying those improvements that we need to make, and then we'll be, figuring out how we can afford to engineer those and ultimately build those out. But I did apply for Pickett County Healthy Rivers and Streams grant for this project, and I'll be speaking to their board next week too about their support potentially of this project as well. But I do think if we're able to have, show that we have the Conservancy's, monetary and project support along with the town, and then hopefully Healthy Rivers as well, we'll be in good position to get future funding to be able to implement the recommendations that will come out of this report.
Yeah. Great. Well, this is all good work. Really wish you the best, and hope we're successful and keeping it clean and clear and good fishery, and pretty important resource for. I have fun. I was taking my grand nephew down there. He was 7 years old, and so I took my 5-weight and I rigged up, made casts for him, hooked the fish, and then hand him the rod. And one of my buddies from CPW came by. He said, "Well, this is for kids. What are you doing here?" I said, "This is for my nephew." He said, "It looks a little sketchy. It looks like you're actually fishing here." I said, "Sort of, but he gets to land the fish. It's really a thrill for him, and he can't throw a 5-weight line across the pond." So I got great memories of it. So
That's great.
And I think Mr. LaFaro came out and policed on me one time too. So
It's gentle though. It's enforcement through education, right? So
great.
you can catch one, but then hand the rod to your grandnephew or somebody else. So.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, guys. What's the action here? We got to approve by resolution?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So have you guys thought about doing like any kind of an educational bit with this? Like there's a ditch, there's water rights in play, there's water draining from the street, there's a lot of things happening that have to do with water that could be illustrated out there in the public sphere, like as we ultimately do some kind of improvements.
Yeah, I think that would be in play in the improvements that we could make. I think now that we have some improved signage with the park, we could probably take the themes of that and extend it nicely, through that wetland area and ultimately to Old Pond. But that's a good suggestion. We'll think about that and think about continuing that theme that we have as we move forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I find it fascinating, and I'm sure, there's more to it than just like this pretty little ribbon of water going through a green space. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to that, there's a great story to tell about Old Pond and Old Pond Park and even the Conservancy side and all of that stuff. So I know that the Parks and Open Space and Trails Committee has sort of a sign plan and whatnot. If there's something that meshes with the design and the vernacular and whatnot, where we can tell the story of a stormwater retention pond that is now anchor, the anchor to a watershed organization, and how much it's being used, and sort of the success story of that park, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, but that's a long story, and that park literally went from 0 to hero in that whole time frame of the redevelopment of it. So it's a great story to tell.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Can I just say one more thing too? Since he didn't speak, but Trevor's here from the Parks Department, and he's been very involved all along and knows that park very well. So I just wanted to acknowledge him for
Oh,
taking
good.
the time
Hey,
to come
thanks.
down tonight.
Good to know.
Yeah, these guys covered it well, so got a good
Thanks,
team
Trevor.
together with Matrix and DHM. I started here 10 years ago when, not at the very beginning of the whole thing, but when Matrix redid the river and all, so
Nice.
it's been
Yeah.
a good learning experience, and hopefully we can improve it.
Don't let Bill Hegberg talk you into putting carp in there.
Tried, can't do it. Talked to CBW. So it's gonna be trout only.
Okay.
Before I make the motion, I'd just like to second, I've worked with DHM in a private side, and I know they're a great group, so it's cool to have them, another local company involved in this project. But I would say, Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 21, series of 2024.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Oh, they're opposed. What happened?
Look at these new windows.
Great, so motion passes, and best of luck to you guys. We look forward to it, and
Thanks very much.
great summer work.
Thank you all.
Cool project.
Ryan, what is going on in our,
So,
There might be some,
what
it's
is,
like Highlands closing just
yeah, right.
let out.
I know.
what is going on?
Possible there's some alcohol involved.
What is this? There are people in our park.
Look at this vitality.
Hey, well, thanks, everybody. I think that's it for tonight. Thought we'd be finished by 7, but, you know. So we'll see everybody on the 23rd. It's going to be the last hurrah for
Well, Michelle, good
Lisa and
to
I.
see some.
Straight out of your hand.